Okay, we're on Samach Zayin base on the bottom, and the last sugya we have spoken about was the Sar Mishtalech that was sent out, and yesterday's sugya was about getting there. But now we go back to the Beis Hamikdash. The people who went on those shacks, and the worst person, the Ish Iti, took it all the way, so he's not going to get back till tomorrow. He's not going to get back till Motzei Yom Kippur. Maybe they stay overnight, or they go at night back home, whatever they do. But now we're zooming back into Yom Kippur by the Kohen Gadol in the Beis Hamikdash. So what had he done last? He had given the Sar Mishtalech over to the person who's taking it out. And now the Mishnah continues from his point. It means we're backing up a little bit. We're backtracking to what the Kohen Gadol did as soon as he gave it out. First, we were looking at the Sar Mishtalech going and what happens at the cliff and all that. But now we're backtracking to what the Kohen Gadol did as soon as he gave it over. Well, it's El Parvasar and Srafin. So he had already shechted two animals, the par that he had brought the blood into the Kodesh HaKadoshim, etc., and also the goat, the Sar Hashem. Samach Zayin Amud Beis on the bottom. So the Mishnah over there, it's El Parvasar on the Srafin. So the bull and the goat that he had already brought the blood, they're shechted and they're there. They're in the courtyard and they're shechted. He took the blood and he brought that in and he did all the zrikas and the hazos that he's supposed to do, and he poured out the shiraim onto the yisod. But they're still, what are we going to do with them? So these are not karbanos that are going to go on the mizbeach. This is called parman esrofim, siman esrofim, that they don't go on the mizbeach. The animal is going to be burnt outside of the machna that we're going to see today, where exactly that is. But they didn't burn it on the mizbeach. But what did go on the mizbeach is only the chaylev, only the fats. That's called a mur, that went on the mizbeach. So Koran, Vahotzi Esemureyan, he tore him open, means he opened up the stomach, and he took out the murim, the halavim, whatever kind of fats, whichever fats he's supposed to take out, the kloyos, the chelo shal, the poder, whatever. Is that true? Maybe I think. And Nisanan b'mogis, the ktir al gabi hamizbech. He put it into a bowl, all those fats. He put it into a bowl and he burnt it on the mizbech. The Gemara is going to say soon that it wasn't right away. That'll be the Gemara. The words itself would have been mashma that he right away. That wasn't the first thing that he did. He burnt the fats on the mizbech. The point of the Mishnah is to say that the animal itself, the meat, the limbs, that's not going to be burnt on the mizbech. That's going to go out of the machna and be burnt over there. But the only thing that's burnt on the mizbech are the murim. And that the Kohen did at this point. As soon as he sent out the Sar Mishtalech, he opened up the two animals, the bar and the sar, took out the murim, put the fats into a bowl, and maked it on the mizbech. Now the animals themselves, you're not going to burn on the mizbech. What do you do with the animals? Kila'an b'miklaos. So the word kila, the Gemara is going to say is like braid. He intertwined them, and on maklos. Some have a gears of maklos. On the side it says maklos, which means sticks. That's the poles over here. They took out the animals on poles. The two poles with four people carrying the two poles, and tied on to the two poles were the bull and the goat, but not separately. Not that they had one for the bull, one for the goat, but they had the bull. The four legs of the bull were tied onto the two poles, and also the goat on top of that, also intertwined. Wow. So the bull and the goat, it seems very, these four men must have been very, very strong. Sure. I mean, to carry a bull, 4 men to carry a bull, wow. I'm not sure. And also a goat for throwing the goat also. But it must have been very strong. They carried it out of Yerushalayim. So it doesn't seem miraculous, but it seems like it must have been pretty strong. But anyway, there was in the Mishnah that he intertwined them on poles. The word maklos, I understand. Miklaos, I don't understand. It also sounds like some kind of intertwining, but the poles themselves, I'm not sure why you call miklaos. But the point is that they carried them out on two poles, intertwined with each other, but see on the basis straight. If you took it out to the, yes? Yes, that's makel, that's what I'm saying, maklos. But if you say miklaos with an iron, then it's not the stick. Maklos is a stick. Maklaos. Kalaan is to intertwine, that's good. Miklaos, I don't understand. Kalaan be maklos, which means you intertwine them on sticks. Like it says on the side, from the Yerushalmi, maklos. But if you have the word miklaos, I'm not sure what the word miklaos would mean. Good. Let's see on the basis straight, for they carried it out to the place which is going to be burnt, which is going to be the sugya today. It's going to be out of Yerushalayim. Just to point out, just to make it a little understand that Yerushalayim is not Yerushalayim Chadashah, what we call today Yerushalayim. It doesn't mean taken out of Yerushalayim. It means out of David, out of whatever is considered the official Yerushalayim HaMukudeshes. The people who carried it out become tummy. Like it says in the pasuk, Rashi brings the pasuk, Where's the Rashi? The people who burn the animals become tummy. From when they become tummy? Machlokes. We had a similar issue yesterday about the one who takes out the shiti, takes out the samar shtalech. When does he become tummy? Here's an issue of the people who burn the bull and the goat. When did they become tummy? When they go out of the Azorah. Before yesterday, we saw the issue was when he went out of Yerushalayim. Here, or when he pushed it off the cliff. And here, Tanakama says when they go out of the Azorah, as soon as they go out of the Beis HaMikdash, right away they become tummy. Even though they didn't burn yet, they have to go further. Only when the fire is ignited on the majority, once it started burning, then it's tummy. Actually, the actual burning makes the people tummy, but not just bringing it. So Machlokes, two opinions, we'll see more in the Gemara. So the first thing the Gemara goes to is the word that it said that the Kohen Gadol took out the imur and he burnt it. He put it into a bowl and he burnt it. The kash is it's not time to burn it yet. He burnt it already now. So Rashi explains the kash is because there's a lot to do until he burns it. And right now he's wearing the white clothing. Rashi says the whole Seder is going to be, he's going to change again he's going to first read the Torah right away. That's going to be the end of today's Gemara. He's going to read the Torah. And then is also changing into the gold clothing, changing into the white clothing, changing into the gold clothing again, and then he's going to first be Maktir. So there's a long time. It's not a long time to go before he puts the Imur on the Mizbeach. So how does the Mishnah say Viktiran? Elaima lihaktiran. Change the above to a lam. It means eventually he put it into a bowl to eventually burn it, but not that right now he's going to burn it. And all he did now was just cut up the animals, take out the Imur and put it into a bowl. And later on he's going to burn it. Lihaktiran al gabi Mizbeach. The Mishnah says then after the kolan with maklos, they intertwined them on these poles. Rabbi Yochanan kimin kliya, like a braid, which the Torah means that the two animals he intertwined them together. It doesn't explain the Gemara why did he do that. And it's interesting they carried them out together. There was something, whatever the power in the Zohar, you probably have to know what the Zohar. The Gemara doesn't say what is this issue of putting them together. It's interesting also that the blood that he put also that he mixed the two bloods together. So what does the power represent? What does the Zohar represent? That's already probably more Sisrei Torah, but halacha, yes.
I don't have any idea what it means, but what came to me when I read this Gemara is the Medrash that says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu braided Chava's hair to make her ratzui to Adam, and here we're talking about kaparas.
That's just the word kliya means a braid. I don't know if it's pretty broad to jump there, but the word kliya just means to braid. Here they braided it. Okay, Tana. So when they carried it out Ramish whole. They carried out two animals, complete whole animals. But when they came to the place where they're going to burn it, so they did cut up the animal. They did cut it up. They didn't put the whole animal into the fire. They did cut it up. But the point that Bryce and I was going to say, but they didn't skin it. They didn't flay. They didn't flay the skin. There's no hefshit. Usually by korban there's hefshit v'nituach, that you skin the animal and then you cut it up into its pieces. But here, even when they're going to cut it up in order to burn it, but it's not going to be the same way. You don't do it the same way as you usually cut it up. That means you first take off the skin. The words are a little bit obscure. When it says, you don't cut it up the way you cut up a carbanola, which would just sounds like you don't cut it up. You do cut it up, but it means you don't cut it up the same way. Usually when you cut it up when it's already skinned. And here you're cutting it up without being skinned. So that's what the words mean. You do it with the skin. You don't take off the skin. So you cut it up into pieces, but it's the whole animal, the whole animal the way it was. So you cut it, means with the skin on, you cut it into the respective pieces, but the same way you cut the carbanola, but with the skin on. Not immediately. How do you know that you're supposed to leave the skin on? That's the first Rosh Hashanah. How do you know that when you cut up the korban, this par and these two chatas, the par chatas, how do you know that you leave the skin on? The Tan Rebbe Yomer Nemakan or Basar Perish, V'Nemal Halon or Basar Perish. Over here by the korban of Yom Kippur, it says the skin. He says you take out the whole thing with the skin and the meat and the perish. The perish means the filth that's inside the stomach. All the contents of the stomach is called the perish. So you take out the whole thing with everything, with the perish. And also says the same words by the Parakohen Mashiach. Rashi on the bottom line tells us the pasuk over there. It's the one of the Kohen Gadol is an Avera and Parshas Vayikra, Perek Daled. It says Ves Or Apar Ves Kol B'Saro. The last line in Rashi says the skin of the animal together with the meat and the head and the feet and its inside and the filth that's inside, all of that is burnt. So the fact that it says by us these three things, or basar perish, and over there Parakohen Mashiach also says the same thing, or basar perish, we're going to learn out this Gzera Shava. Top line, just like by the Parakohen Mashiach, we cut it up when we burn it. Over there also, it's not on the Mizbech. Over there also, you take it out of the Machne. And over there, you cut it up without skinning it, as we're going to see soon. Afkana, then you talk about the Hefshit. Here too, you cut it up, but you don't skin it. So the first point, the first leg of this drasha would be Gzera Shava between Yom Kippur and the Parakon Mashiach. Just like the Parakon Mashiach, we're going to see soon that it's cut up without being skinned, so too by Yom Kippur. But now, third line, and how do you even know by the Parakon Mashiach, who tells you that you're not supposed to skin it? The Tanya, we learned the Brisa of Kibo Pirsho, the Hotzi. That's the pasuk we just mentioned a second ago. Rashi in the bottom brought it down. Just to Rashi didn't bring down the Vahotzi, just the last Rashi over there. The next word in the pasuk is Vahotzi. It says, take out everything. Vahotzi al mechus lamachane. So, what do you learn out from there? You do take it out full, whole. Means you take out the whole animal. That's yes, everyone agrees you take out the whole animal when it's completely whole. Like we said over here, put on the sticks, you're carrying it out when
You're took some stuff out of it.
What is that?
You already took some stuff out of it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is true that you took out the insides, but that's still called whole.
You know, like the outside is whole.
The whole outside is whole. They move you took out. That's true. Over there also, I think you take out they move over there also. By the Parakon Mashiach, I'm pretty sure. Yes. So you take it out whole, but you might think that also when you burn it, you put the whole animal as is onto the fire. No, you do cut it up. Nemakan rosho ukraov, the nemalalon rosh ukraim. Rashi says that the gear says correct the way he says it by us. Usually when you have parentheses, that means take it out. Down on the side it has brackets rosho ukraov, but that seems to be a mistake. The Krapa gear says the way it says in the parentheses, just erase the parentheses. It says rosh and kraim. What does it say about a korbanola? A regular korbanola, vayikra parak aleph. That Rashi was on the pasuk over here. It says Baruch Hu Esan Esachim as a Rosh Vesapoda. Then it says Kraim. So it says the word Rosh and it says Kraim. So you learn now it's Rosh and Kraim to the Par Korban Mashiach. Just like over there, you do cut it up by the Korbanola. You do cut it up when you put it on the Mizbech. So too here also you're supposed to cut it up. Again, the drasha Nemar Kan Rosh Krav. The Nemar Lalon Rosh and Kraim. Just like by the Korbanola, you cut it up before you put it on the Mizbech, so too by the Parakon Mashiach, you cut it up before you put it into the fire. Not on the Mizbech, but you cut it up before you put it into the fire. Now we're getting to our point. You might think that's the same way with Korbanola. First you skin it, and then you cut it up. Here also you take off the skin. No, you don't take off the skin. These two words, that was the pasuk that Rashi brought down, the end of the page, the last two words, the insides and the perish. The perish means the filth that's inside the stomach. And that's the drasha to tell you you don't skin it. So the Gemara doesn't understand what is the drasha? What do you see exactly? My Talmud, what's the drasha? What do you see from those words of Kirbo Pirsho that you don't take off the skin? The answer is Amra Papa Kshem Shepirsho Bikirbo Kach Basaro Baoro. Surely it's no question when you bring the perish, the filth, you're not going to take it out and bring it on and burn it and burn it separately. That goes without saying. So it just means that you have the intestines full of all the filth. And you do that, you burn it with all the filth, but it's surely inside. So too in the beginning of the pasuk says, when it says bisaro and or, also the meat is inside the skin, just like the perish is inside the intestines. So too the meat is inside the skin. So don't take off the skin. So what did the Gemara have? Well, this drasha was to tell us that just like the Parakon Mashiach, after this drasha, we'll say the whole drasha. Par Yom Kippur is our subject. You learn how to Gzer Shofar from Parakon Mashiach that is cut up without skinning it. How do you know over there? A combination of 2 points. One is that from the Korbanola, you learn now that you do cut it up. But the fact that it says Kirbo Pirsho, that shows that the basar is supposed to, the perish is inside the intestines. And so to the beginning of the pasuk, the basar is inside the skin. Not that you do the skin separately, you skin it and you put the skin in the fire. No, the basar inside the skin. So you see that you don't take off the skin. So too by Yom Kippur, everything's all the same. The Parakon Mashiach and by Yom Kippur, you take it out of the machna, whole, complete, and without the intestines, without the emum that you took out, and then you cut it up with the skin on, and then you put it into the fire. The Mishnah said, Machlokis, from when did they become Tameh? Tanakama said from when they come out of the Beis HaMikdash, the Azara, and Shimon said till they start burning it, till they burn rubo. Yes, it's rubo. So I put up a couple of psukim here. I didn't have time to make it very beautiful, but let's see if it helps anything. So I don't have the screen for the tzibur over here, but it's not so. I don't think it makes such a difference. I don't know if you have to see the psukim on the side even. There's going to be, what we're going to talk about is many korbanos that you don't burn on the Mizbeach. It's even easier without the seeing the psukim inside maybe. That there are a few korbanos that you don't put on the Mizbeach, you take it outside, you burn it outside the Machne. What are they? We have our subject, Yom Kippur, and the Sor Yom Kippur. You don't burn on the Mizbeach. Also, by Parakon Mashiach and Par Helam Dava, those are two parashas that says in consecutive, one after the other. In Parshas Vayikra, it says by Korban Chatas, it says if a Kohen Gadol does a Korban Chatas, does a Chet, that's Chayiv Korban Chatas, he brings a special Korban Chatas. That's called Parakon Mashiach. And you don't burn it on the Mizbeach, it goes also out of the Machne. The Chaylev does go, the Imum over there also says perish, but the animal itself is burnt outside. Also, Parlam Dovar, if the Tzibur made a mistake on a serious Avera, that Sanhedrin Paskin that is mutter, and then they made a mistake, they made a mistake, so then they bring a Chatas Tziburi, like a communal Korban Chatas. Also, another place where it says, about outside the machne is by the deshen. But Parshas Tzav, it says that you have too much of deshen every day. They take off some deshen and put it next to the mizbeach. But that's also deshen when there's a lot of deshen on the mizbeach, ashes. So you take it out of the machne. So we have already four places where it talks about taking out of the machne. Each one time it says the Gemara is going to make a drasha to learn out that it's three machanos. Because when you say it could be in the simple pshat, the word machne means the camp, the whole camp of the Am Yisrael, but the Gemara takes it. There are three machanos. There's Machna Shechina, Machna Levia, Machna Yisrael. In the Mishkan, in the Midbar, it was the actual Azara is called the Machna. Then the Levium were around them, and then Yisrael were around them in the Midbar. When you come to Yerushalayim, so you have the Azara is the courtyard is the Machna Shechina, and then the Harabayis that's Machna Levia. Yerushalayim is Machna Yisrael, and then also talks about every walled city is also maybe Machna Yisrael. But as far as going out of the Beis Hamikdash, you can go out of one Machna. You're out of the Beis Hamikdash, but you're in the Harabayis. You can go out of two machnos, that's out of Harabayis, but you're in Yerushalayim. And you can go out of three machnos, means going out of Yerushalayim. The Gemara is going to learn out, but the Gemara does to say a preview. The Gemara is going to say that we learn out from the Par. It says each time, you're going to say that all three of them, that one says it's by Par Kon Mashiach, one is by Par Lamdova, one is by the Asor Sadeshen. And we're going to learn that there are three machnos. There's also a pasuk that says, and they're all the same. All these things have the same point, and you're going to burn it in the same place. By Har Yom Kippur and the Sor Yom Kippur, it also says El Mechus LaMachane. What's that? It's all we said already. Three machanos. It's not going to be one machane. It's not. There are no four machanos. There's not more. So the Gemara is going to say that the three machanos is where you burn it. But the point of when does it become when you become tamei after one machana? That's going to be the one machana that it says Yom Kippur is not going to be where you burn it. You burn it after three machanos. But as soon as you go out of one machana, which means you go out of machana shkin, you go out of that zara, you become tamei. That's more or less the drasha that we're going to have. Okay, maybe we'll do it out of psukim. Okay, I think maybe it's easier without the psukim. Okay, so we're from when did the people become tamei? The people who are taking out or burning the bull and the goat. It says by V'sorfu. It says by Yom Kippur you should take out par, face, par, chatas, v'sir chatas. You should that the blood was brought into the Kodesh HaKadoshim. You should take it out and burn it. Chus l'machaneh. Where did it go? I'm sorry, it jumped over here.
The sorfo is part of the process. The sorfo is part
What
of
is
the
that?
process.
Yes. That's the pasuk. They should take it out of the machane and they should burn it. Over there means by par kon Mashiach, par helam davar, all those other parim that you're supposed to burn outside the machne. It says over there after the drasha, we'll see soon that you burn it out of all three machanos, out of Yerushalayim, out of machne Shechina, Levia, and Yisrael. And over here it says one machne, as if to say Yotzei Mechus LaMachane, one machne, not one machne, out of machne Shechina, can't be. Why does it say it's supposed to Mechus LaMachane? As if it sounds after going out of machne Shechina already. Not as far as burning it. Burning it is after three machanos. But as soon as you got it, one machana is already tamei. And the pasuk is talking about the tumah over there, and you make the drasha to say that it's talking about the tumah, maybe not the pasuk pshat, but the drasha is going to say that as far as the tumah, they become tamei as soon as they go out of the zara, even though they didn't get out of Yerushalayim. How do you know that? Why is that a given that all these karbanos are burnt out of three machanos? It says Hasam over there. We say three machanos. Who says? Who says that by the par karen Mashiach par alam dover? Who says it's supposed to be burnt out of three machanos? It says each time it says machna. The Tanya. chutz shalosh machanos. The pasuk of the Bar Kohen Mashiach is supposed to be burnt out of all three machanos, out of Yerushalayim. Is that true? That's usually how the Brisa goes, and it says the pasuk with the drash. Then it says who tells me? Maybe I dash and wrong, and it's going to explain the right drasha. At the Omer chutz shalosh machanos ein ela machan chutz machan achnas. Is it true to say that he burned it out of three machanos? Maybe he burned it out of one machan. It says machan and chutz machan. Maybe it only means machan shechina. In the next parasha, after Parakon Mashiach, after it says what happens if the Kohen Gadol is an Aver as Chayv Chatas, then it goes into Paralam Dovar, which means if the Tzibor didn't Aver because Sanhedrin made a mistake, it says the same thing. It says also Avichos Lamachane. And over there it's extra. Shein Tamaloma, it doesn't have to say that. Sharei Kvarnema, Bisabapes also, Kasher Sarapes Apar Rishon. This all is a pasuk. The pasuk says, due to the Paralam Dovar, as you would have done to the Parakon Mashiach. The pasuk itself refers you to the above parsha. In Parak Dalet over there, first talks about Parakon Mashiach. It tells you where to burn it, and then all that Bodhi is supposed to do. And then by the next parsha, Paralam Dovar, it says it has the same halacha as the above parsha. So once it says that, you don't have to tell me details anymore. He said, do everything that you did before. So why does it have to say again, burn it outside the machna? He told me already to burn it outside the machna. Why does it say a second time by Paralam Dovar? Why does it say another time to say that there are two machanos, and not only over here, but both of them. By both of them, it's going to be two machanos. There's a connecting drush; they should be the same. And by each one it says machna. So you learn out that not only out of machna shechina, out of two machanos. According to that, we would do it out of machna levia, out of Harabayis, but in Yerushalayim. But now there's a third passage that's going to say it's three machanos. By the ashes that are supposed to be brought outside of the machna, it says it a third time, a drash that's unnecessary. It says over there also, take the deshen, take the ashes out of the machna. Shein tam alom, it didn't have to say, take it out of the machna, sharei kvanemar al shefach hadeshen. With the pasuk, this is the pasuk by Kohen Mashiach, it says, burn it outside the machna, in the same place where you put the deshen. So even though the pasuk doesn't come to tell you the mitzvah of deshen, but it was come to tell you that the place where you burn is where you put the deshen. And then if it says in Parashat Sav, take out the deshen, it doesn't have to say Mechus Lamachane, because the other pasuk already talks about the place of the deshen is Mechus Lamachane. So there's the third time that it has an extra 10 low machna shlishes. So from there we learn out that there are three machnas. By Parakon Mashiach, Paralam Dovar, and by the deshen, it says each time machna, and you could have learned that one from the other. So coming to say that you learn out all of them together, that there are three machanos. That's the end of the drash. And back to the beginning, since it says that you burn everything, all these kabbalas are burnt out of three machanos, and now by Yom Kippur it says chos machane. What does that mean? We're burning it also out of three machanos. It must be that chos machane, one machane, it really makes him tamei. That's the drash of the Tanna Kama, that when do the people become tamei? When they go out of machane shechina. Rav Shimon, the Mishnah doesn't hold this. Rav Shimon says they don't become tamei until you burn it. So they didn't hold it as Russian. So he does agree that you burn it out of shalosh machanos, but he doesn't agree that it becomes tummy after one machna. So what does he do with this pasuk? Rav Shimon, so now this bottom of the page over here, we have what to say by the table tonight about Parshas Chukas. Here it talks about a drash about the paraduma, and he's going to say by the paraduma it says you do the paraduma chusla machane. What does that mean? Maybe it means right out of the machna shechina. Maybe you do it out of the Beis Hamikdash. How come you go into Har HaZeisim? So the Gemara says you learn out from here also. There's going to be now Gzer Shava between Yom Kippur and Paraduma, and we're going to learn out two-directional Gzer Shava. One is going to learn out that the Paraduma is supposed to be done out of three machanos, the same way we said until now, that all these Kavanas are done out of three machanos, so the Paraduma is also done out of three machanos, out of Shechina, Levia, Yisrael, which means that they had to go out of Yerushalayim, and they did it on Har HaZeisim. Why did they do it on Har HaZeisim? Why in that direction? Because the pasuk says Pesach Ol Moed, when the Kohen who served for support, whoever's doing the avoda, when he sprinkled the blood of the paraduma outside Yerushalayim, it says he should sprinkle it El Pnei Ol Moed. He sprinkles the blood far away. He's not going to do it into the Ol Moed. He's far away, but he does it Al Pesach Ol Moed. Beyond the whole Gemara that it has to be, there shouldn't be any obstruction between him and the Ol Moed. Is it because there's a way to see through the doorway, or did they make the wall short in order that I should be able to see it on top? Whatever the case was, he was sprinkling blood, Pesach Ol Moed. The Pesach Ol Moed, as surely we know, is facing towards the east. So if he has to sprinkle the blood towards the Ol Moed, he has to be standing on the east. That's why he goes to Har HaZeisim, that's on the east of Yerushalayim. So there are two givens, and now we're going to learn out each given to the two directions. We have the Paralam Dover, on one side we have the Paralam Dover, Parakon Mashiach, Shefach HaDeshen. What else we have? Yom Kippur, all these things. And we say that there are three machanos. And now you have the paraduma, which it says also Amchus Lamachane. And now we're going to learn out a two-directional Gzera Shava. One is going to be to learn out that the par, just like these are out of 3 machanos, so also the Paraduma is done out of 3 machanos. You don't just do it out of the Beis Hamikdash Har Bayis, you have to go out of Yerushalayim. And also, just like by the Paraduma, for sure it's on the east, because it says Pesach Ol Moed, so also these are also going to be on the east. So the place where you burn all these karbanos is going to be on the east side, outside Yerushalayim. Ma'akan. How does it go? Here by our Yom Kippur it says Chos Lamachne, and by Paraduma it says Chos Lamachne. And Parshas Chukas, this is about Midbar Yotes, this week's Parsha. Just to go to Yom Kippur, we just finished saying that you burn it out of all 3 machnos out of Yerushalayim. So too by Paraduma, it's done outside Yerushalayim. And just like by Paraduma is on the east, as it says in the pasuk Pesach Ol Moed. So too here it has to be on the east. Rabbanan don't have this drasha. Rabbanan said that they don't have, they learned it for something else to tell you that you become tamei as soon as you go out. So they don't have this drasha to make them Paraduma. So is there any? What do they hold about? Where do you burn it? Which direction? You don't have to Paraduma. Kidatanya hechin esrofim letzfona shel Yerushalayim. So they argue. They say it's not the east. Of course, the Paraduma is in the east. That's a lot of question. It has to be Pesach Ol Moed. But these karbonos, the Parakon Mashiach, Param Dover, Yom Kippur, Deshem, all these things are going to be in the north. Rashi says, why is it in the north? Because it's supposed to be like a Korban Chatas. A Korban Chatas is done on the north of the. Usually it's on the north of the Azora. But here, it's the north. It has to be in the north. For some reason, north is an issue that it has to be with a Chatas. So the Korban Chatas has to be in the north of Yerushalayim. So all
by the Paraduma, Har Hazeisim is like a thing. Har Hazeisim.
Yeah.
The north, what? Anywhere in the north?
It could be anywhere, but it could be that there was a special place. It could be that if they would look, according to the Shita, if you look, you might find the Deshen, let's say, according to the first Shita, you'll find it in the east, near the place where they did the Paraduma. And I think they have a chash where they think the Paraduma was done. Opposite the height of the Har Bayis, they'd be able to make a level, which height of the mountain of Har Hazeisim, whereas an opposite where you can see the Ol Moed. They had that, someone told me, a tour guide, that there's also a church over there, and they know that it's holy to the Jews, so they knew that place might have been Shepach Hadeshen in the east of in the east of Yerushalayim. But in the north, according to the Shita, outside Yerushalayim, in the north. So there'd be a place that would be designated. Maybe they would have made a place out of it, like you say, a place. But maybe not. It just has to be in the north, and has to be a place for the Deshen, and that's where they would have also burnt Yom Kippur, Parakon Mashiach. Comes out machlokes if the Yom Kippur was begat to us, Yom Kippur, if it was done in the east or was done in the north of Yerushalayim. New point, top line. Rabbi Yossi Omer, our base of Deshen is Shrufin. So we're going to see right away. The Rashi says, the Gemara is going to say soon that it has to have been their Deshen. Means if all these psukim over here, Parakon Mashiach, Paralam Dover, Yom Kippur, there's also a pasuk about the Deshen. The Parsha Tzav, it says, and by Param Mashiach, it says you burn it in the place where the Deshen is. So there's already, the pasuk says, the place of the Deshen. So you might take it loosely that it means the place where the Deshen is supposed to be burned. But the Gemara's dashing, it has to have already been put over there. Not the Deshen is burned, the Deshen is placed. The ashes of the Mezbeach had to already have been placed over there. So if they didn't, for any reason, bring Deshen yet, so they wouldn't be allowed to burn the Paraduma, not the Paraduma, I'm sorry, the Parakon Mashiach, Paralam Dover, Yom Kippur. It's only if there's already, there has to actually be Deshen. Rashi says, just to see the Rashi, it has to be over there Deshen. I already have of the Mizbeach HaChitzon that was already brought over there. That should be first be called Shepach Hadeshen. And then you could burn these things over there. I don't know if it means it has to have once they've been brought or there actually is Deshen over there, not that it was taken away. But Rabbi Yossi says that Shepach Hadeshen, you learn out that in order to burn these karbonos over there, there has to actually have been Deshen from the Mizbeach HaChitzon. Amar Rava, man Tana the Polygon Lady Rabbi Yossi. It sounds like Tanakama doesn't hold this. So who argues and holds it? You don't have to have Deshen over there. Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov, who he argues and says you don't have to have Deshen. It has to be in the place of the Deshen that is designated for that, but not the same place where it's supposed to be placed, but not that there was already Deshen. The Tanya, Shepach Hadeshen Yisrael, this pasuk that it says by Parakon Mashiach, it should be burnt in the place where you pour the Deshen, you spill out the Deshen. She hates Sham Deshen. Tanakama here holds like a Bilsi. That has to actually be Deshen over there. It sounds like it has to actually be Deshen right now. That don't say that drasha. It just means that the place should be a slope. The place where you put the Deshen should not be flat. There should be a slope. I guess that eventually it should be able to slide down. It shouldn't stay in the same place. It has to be slope. So the Gemara thinks that according to Bezman Yaakov, all you learn out is that it's a slope, and it doesn't have to be Deshen actually be over there. And the Memela, there'll be a Tanakama that argues on Rav Yossi. But the Gemara says, not convinced. You don't see that Bezman Yaakov argues on the first drasha. Maybe you also agree, you have to actually have Deshen over there. It is coming to add, there's a new drasha, the word Shefach. He's just coming to add on. The word Shefach means that it should be on the slope, but not that he argues on the Tanakama who says that there actually has to be Deshen over there. So he's not convinced that there's Machlokes. Maybe everybody holds that there should be Deshen over there first, at least Rav Eliezer ben Yaakov, and then Rav Eliezer ben Yaakov says another halacha that the place where you put the Deshen should be on the slope. 2 point, we finished all that, and now we go back to the issue. We had the drasha so far, and now the Gemara is going to be a little bit more about burning. The people who burn it become tamei. Tanu Rabbanan Basaref, the person who burns this bull and goat becomes tamei. Hasaref tamei begadim. V'lo amazes as a war. The person who makes the fire, before you put the animal, the meat into the fire, the person who just made the fire, or the person who set up the fire, set up the logs, he doesn't become tummy. Only the one who actually burns it. Because after you make the fire, then you put the meat into the animal, the meat into the fire. That's the one who becomes tummy. Who's the one who burns it? The one who helps the burning it. Rashi says that this only goes according to the one who says you actually burn it, like Rav Shimon, but according to the one who says when you carry it out of the Azara, Rashi says it doesn't fit. But the Rambam seems to say this is also called Messiah B'Shas Reif. The people who are burning it, bringing it to burn, is also called they're getting it to be burned. The drush can be true according to them also. The point is that the other people who made the fire, they're not called that they're burning it. The people who are osek in the animal itself, either bringing it or actually putting it into the fire, they're tamei. And according to Rav Shimon, only if you actually burnt it. Now the question, the rest of the Gemara now talks about till when is it ayitame? Means from when, we talk about the Mishnah, from when you took it out of the Zara or when you put it onto the fire, the Ruban, but till when is it still going to have tumah? The people till when someone joins in to burn it, once it's already burning, does he also become tamei? So till when? Once it became ashes, so then if someone was going to then stoke the fire or something like that, he's not tummy because it's already ashes. It's not called anymore osam. Osam means them. They still have essence. Once the bull and the goat is already burnt, and the ashes, just because you help out the fire to burn more, it's not anymore called that you're burning them. Only while it's still there. Once it's afer, then it's not anymore called burning it. He's machmir more. And he's machmir. He's machmir more. No, he's mekel more. He's mekel, and he says that it's only tummy as long as it's called a par. It's called a par only when you can see that it's the meat of a bull. But once it's already, you don't see the meat, as the Moshe is going to say in one line, that it's already burned, singed, it's already scorched. You don't see fire. You don't see black. So then, what's the machlokes between Tanakama that says Efer is not tamei, and Rav Shimon says only when it's a par is it tamei? You made it burnt. You burnt it, so it's burnt, but it's not ashes yet. So according to one holds, the Tanakama would say it's still tamei because it's not ashes. Rabbi Eliezer ben Shimon would say it's not tamei because it's not anymore called a par, even though it's you see the black ivorim, everything, but you don't see meat anymore. It's charucha. It's already burnt. So that's not tamei anymore. So machlokes is till when is it tamei? Till it's burnt, or maybe even till it's ashes. Okay. So what did we do so far? That was a sugya all about taking out par v'soya, and we spoke about the sugyas were about where do you burn it outside 3 machnas, and which direction? Machlokes to the north or to the east. And when does it become tamei? That's machlokes if as soon as it goes out of the basin, out of the Zara, or until you actually start burning it. And the Gemara also spoke about the people who make the fire who are not involved in burning it, they're not tamei. And till when does it become tamei? Machlokes until it becomes burnt or until it becomes ashes. The next point is really like an introduction to the next parak, and it says now the next thing on the agenda for the Kohen Gadol is going to be to read the Torah, Kriyas Torah. But he can't do Kriyas Torah until he knows that the goat, which is on the way, is at least got to the midbar. There's a journey of, we said, like 12 mil to get to the cliff, 10 mil to 12 mil. But the midbar is going to, right away, it's going to say it's 3 mil, which is about 54 minutes, 18 times 3, 54-minute walk, 3 mil. and then he gets to the midbar. Then it's called you do the midbar shalachas aser b'midbar, and then they're allowed to continue doing the next avodah. But we did so far to give over to open up the bull and the goat and to take out the imur and give it, and they start carrying it out. That's not called that they did the next avodah yet. But to do kriyas Torah, that's the next point in the avodah now. So you can't do that until the goat at least reached the midbar. So it's approximately 54 minutes. So how do you know? We have a watch nowadays. But the Mishnah talks about how does he know that the goat reached the midbar that he can start doing kriyas Torah? So it's really an introduction to the next parak. Amul Kohen Gadol, like yes, all the midbar. They tell the Kohen Gadol that the goat has reached the midbar, and then you can really jump to the next parak. Bolo Kohen Gadol likros. Now you can start reading the Torah. But the Mishnah explains how do they know that the goat reached the midbar? It's far away. Yes.
I don't understand. Rashi says she'eno rashai, meaning that it's likuva. But I thought he was supposed to throw it over the cliff, which we said was not ma'akev in the end, but that's the shlichus. Here it sounds like it's a shlichus, and the shlichus is nigmar when he gets to the beginning of the midbar, and it's likuva diaraisa. What's going on?
No, it doesn't say all that. Rashi says v'shilachas ha'asar b'midbar. Once he gets to the midbar, it was also that. Of course, lachatchil is supposed to put it off the cliff, but the din v'shilachas ha'asar b'midbar, and then it says do other avodos. So once he got to the midbar, it's good enough. He's not supposed to stop doing the avodah until he gets to the midbar.
How is that a milui of the shlichus? And Rashi uses the lashon eno rashai la'atchil. He's not allowed, right? You're right.
V'shilachas ha'asar b'midbar. Bamidbar, that's what it says. Bamidbar. That's why Rashi says 2 words later that what is the shlichus? V'shilachas hasoyer bamidbar. Once it gets to the midbar, it's true. We learn out the other psukim about Azazel and Xeris Gezerua supposed to go off the cliff, but the kiyum of v'shilachas hasoyer bamidbar. Once it gets to the midbar, it was fulfilled. Amulo l'kohen gadol giyas al midbar. How do you know? How do you know that it reached the midbar yet? So the answer is so more or less flagmen. They had people that were stationed besides the people who were in the shacks. They also had flagmen. The chora, it would be how many shacks was that? We said 1, 2, 3. By the third, till the third shack, I don't know if you can see how long could you see a flag waving? You could see it from a kilometer away. If a kilometer is good enough, they didn't have to have anything besides the shacks. You had the 3 shacks, and they would have the flags. And when he got to the third shack, he would wave the flag, and then the second shack would wave their flag. The first one would wave their flag, and then Yerushalayim, they would see it. So it would take a few seconds to be able to relay the message that the Sar got to the midbar. If you can't see for a whole kilometer, so then before we said yesterday that they stood a kilometer away and Roas Masav, they saw that was happening by the Tzuk. So it sounds like you could see from a kilometer. But if not, then you'd have some other flagmen on the way. They would also wave the flags in order to relay the message in a couple of seconds. So as soon as the star got to the midbar, they would right away know in Yerushalayim that it arrived. The word Yechos, I just, from the context, it sounds like flagmen. Amar Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda said they didn't need the flagmen. There's another way to know that they reached the midbar. Why is that? So basically, whatever that means, it's the beginning of the midbar. The Gemara says that, then Rashi seems to say Chiduda means the beginning of the midbar. It could be it's a place called Beis Chiduda. On the side it says Beis Choron. I'm not sure. It's different gears from the Yerushalayim, but it means the beginning of the midbar. So he says from Yerushalayim until the beginning of the midbar is 3 mil, as we mentioned before. But this is where I got it from. Here it says that's 3 mil. Yesterday we spoke about that the Akiva Yerushalayim would escort him to the first shack, and then somebody asked, "Does he walk back? Do they walk back?" So yeah, here says they walk back. The rest of the people, no reason to walk back. They just go to another shack. But the people who came out of Yerushalayim surely walked back. So here it says that you waited, and when they left, they took a mil to get to the first shack, and then they came back. It sounds like they didn't stop over. They didn't stop over too much. They didn't sit down and rest after the whole 18-minute walk, and they came back right away. So that's already 2 mil. And then you wait approximately 1 more mil, which not the Gemara sounds like you don't have to be a big chacham to figure out how long 1 mil is, and then that's enough approximately, and you'll be able to know that it was already 3 mil.
So the first Mandamer is holding it that it's Diraisa Likuva, and he's holding a Chazaka, it's Makriya, so it's Durabanan.
I don't see all this. I don't. The Chazaka is the Raisa also, and all this. It's not. I don't see it. I don't see all this. I don't see all that. There's a lacha to wait till the midbar, and everyone does talk about how could you know when they got to the midbar. Either you actually have flagmen, or you can estimate according to the time that it takes to walk. I don't see a serious machlokas about the Raisa Rabban. I don't see all that. The rest of the Mishnah here, it seems like it's a brisa. I'm not sure why, but the Gra, the Bach, they take it out. And also we had this yesterday already. Rabbi Shmuel, yesterday was a different name, but Rabbi Shmuel, there's another simon. But this was only in the olden days when they left the red string in the Beis Hamikdash. Eventually, when we said they didn't leave it anymore and they were sending it with the goat, then this wouldn't apply. But originally, when they used to still leave the red string in the Beis Hamikdash, but the Mishnah is going to say the brisa, when it turned white, they knew it came to the midbar. Means that the brisa is now saying that it didn't only turn white when they pushed it off the cliff. It could turn white as soon as it got to the midbar, because the Ikar mitzvah is to get to the midbar. There is a mitzvah to throw it off the cliff, but it could get white as soon as it got to the midbar. But in the olden days, it still would be on the heichal, either outside or inside. And once it got to the midbar, the red string would turn white in the good days.
But how does this go with the last Gemara that we said that the animal can buckle its head and then he won't see, so they put it on the rock? It's marshmallow from that, it goes down.
Rashi said over there that if he has more to do with the string, it won't become white until he does this. If you're supposed to cut it in half and put half of it on the rock, half of it on the goat, then it's not going to turn white until it goes on the head of the goat. But here, that they didn't have any such thing. It just was in the Beis Hamikdash, no cutting of the rope. They did everything they had to do. So then it could have been white as soon as it came to the midbar. Amar Abaye, from the Mishnah we see Beis Cheduda is the beginning of the midbar. So what does Beis Cheduda mean? I really don't know. Rashi says Beis Cheduda. Rashi says who Rosh Midbar, but I don't know what the word Beis Cheduda means. It doesn't mean the cliff. Obviously, it means here the beginning of the midbar, and that is the beginning of the 3 mil. Once they got there, that was the 3 mil, and now they made the simon. They had the simon over here of now we can do the next avoda. Welcome Mashmalan. They take out the next words. That even though he's supposed to throw it off the cliff, but they can mitzvah to get to the midbar. And once they did that, they could continue doing the next avoda, which now brings us to the next parak. So the last Mishnah was really an introduction. And now he continues to do the Kriyas Torah. In between, it told us how they know that it got to the midbar, and we had all the simonim. But the Mishnah now continues. Now we can start doing the Kriyas Torah. Rashi says Kriyas Torah Yom Kippur. Yes, please.
If they once somebody walked a mill and walked back a mill, and then they can determine how much the 3rd mill, how much time that would be. Why couldn't they just determine how much 3 mil is, unless they wanted to know because of the weather conditions and because people are fasting? Maybe it takes them longer than a normal walk.
It seems not. No, on the contrary, it says that it's not. That the walking is a good simon. It doesn't say that the walking is not a good simon. On the contrary, it says that's a good simon. The walking back is already.
Somebody walking on Yom Kippur may be longer than when they walk when they haven't been fasting. Why couldn't they just ask
that? It says not like that. That's a good question, but the Mishnah does say that the walk back and forth is a regular walk of the mill. It doesn't say that it's longer. If they're longer, then they're waiting too long. It does have to. It says the opposite. It says that the walk on Yom Kippur was a good walk, a regular walk. So you're asking if they can estimate the last third, the last meal. So how come they can't estimate?
Why couldn't they estimate all 3? Yeah, why couldn't they estimate all 3?
I don't know. Maybe to estimate 1 mil is easier than to estimate 3 mil. The Rishash has an interesting point that it sounds like a cute thing that maybe they would take a walk around the Har Habayis. Because the Har Habayis is 500 amas by 500 amas. So if you took a walk around the perimeter, so you get 2,000 amas, which is a mil. So that's a cute idea, but it doesn't say anything like that. It doesn't say they took a walk around the Har Habayis. But if someone wanted to make sure what the mill was, and also they don't have to be exactly, they can wait a little bit longer. If they have any doubt, they can wait a little bit longer to make sure that it's another 3rd mill. And then there'll be time to do the Kriyas Torah. The Mishnah starts. Volo Kohen Gadol Likros. Now the Kohen Gadol is ready to read the Torah. So he's wearing the white clothing. So far he's been wearing the Big Day Lavan. He did all the avoda, and he's still wearing the Big Day Lavan. So does he read in the Big Day Lavan or does he change? So he surely doesn't change into the golden clothing yet. But in Muscle Likros, the Big Day Bulls Koreh, if he wants to continue reading in the white clothing that he's wearing, the linen clothing that he's wearing of Yom Kippur, he may. If he doesn't want to, for whatever reason, or he could get his own white garment. If he wants to change into his own private clothing, he may. Or what says it should be white. Chazan HaKnesses no Sefer Torah, but no Rosh HaKnesses no Sgan no Kohen Gadol. Then they have a whole seder how to bring the Sefer Torah to the Kohen Gadol. So there's a Sefer Torah. Where's the Sefer Torah? Rashi seems to say that there was a basic Knesses on the Har Habayis, and they would bring the And then the Kohen Gadol only the Makabel, the Korbaneh, then he stands up to receive the Sefer Torah, and he reads the following parshas. Achrei Mos is all about the avodah of Yom Kippur. That's what we read on Yom Kippur. Parshas Achrei Mos. The Ach B'Asar is Parshas Emor, and over there we don't read this on Yom Kippur. Interesting, we don't. This is about the mitzvah of Inui, the mitzvah of not eating on Yom Kippur. And it doesn't talk about Karbanos, it doesn't talk about, say, the Avodah, it just talks about the Inui. He read that also. And that is Parshas Achrei Mos until Amr is not far away. And he seems that he would roll the Sefer Torah to read both Parshas. But then, the goal of Sefer Torah, then he would close the Sefer Torah, he'd hold it in his lap, the Omer, and then he would announce, Yosef Mimashe Karasi Lefnechem Kosav Kan. More than I have read before you, which means he read so far Achrei Mos and Emor, more than that is written here. The Torah has more to say. And he starts reading a third parsha, but the third parsha he's reading by heart. He's not reading it from inside. The first two, Achrei Mos and Emor, he read from inside the Torah, but now the third parsha, he just made a proclamation that more than I said is written in here. And then he starts saying, Baal Peh, Ubasa Shebachom Shapikudim Kor Al Peh. This is the Parshas Pinchas, where it talks about the Musafin. So that he reads Baal Peh, the Kabbalah of Yom Kippur of the Musaf. Then he says brachas. After he finishes the Kriyas Torah, he says brachas. 8 brachas. And it doesn't say the whole nusach of the bracha, it just says the topics of the 8 brachas. One is ala Torah, one is ala Avoda. It sounds like a little bit ala Torah, ala Avoda, but that we say in the brachas of Torah. It doesn't mean that. It means one bracha ala Torah, one about Avoda, one about Hodah, to thank Hashem. One is mechilas avon, that Hashem forgives sin, and one is Al HaMikdash. They take out the word Zib B'fnei Asmo the whole time. Al HaMikdash. They also say Kohanim. Kohanim was over here. They just put it out of order. It says here Yisrael, then it says Yerushalayim, then it says Kohanim. They changed their order that it should be Kohen before Yisrael. Al HaKohanim, Al Yisrael, and they take out Yerushalayim because if it says Yerushalayim, then you have 9. Too many over here. And then also Al Sharat Tefillah. Just again, you have Torah, Avoda, Hodah, thanks, Mechilas Avon, Mikdash, Kohanim, Yisrael, and Sharat Tefillah. Sharat Tefillah is going to be like Shomei Tefillah, like a general bracha that Hashem listens to Tefillah. If you have the Ges Yerushalayim, then you have to say this 8.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it says Yerushalayim.
Yerushalayim, it says should be omitted over here. If you have Yerushalayim, then you'll have to say that's 8 besides Sharat Tefillah, besides Shomei Tefillah. That seems to be they don't say that. They say take out this nusach of Yerushalayim. So what did he do? He read 3 parshios, 2 inside, 1 by heart. Parshas Achrei Mos and the parsha of Emor, it speaks about Yom Kippur. And then the third one about the Kabbalas Musafin of Parshas Pinchas, he read by heart. And then he said 8 brachas to thank Hashem for the Torah, Avodah, and the Beis HaMikdash, thanking Hashem, Mechilas Avonos of Yom Kippur, the Beis HaMikdash, the Kohanim, the Yisraelim, and a kind of a Shomei Tefillah. Haroah Kohen Gadol, the lesson in the Mishnah says, Haroah Kohen Gadol, Kishu Korei, ain't no Haroah Parvasai Nisrafim. Haroah Parvasai Nisrafim, ain't no Haroah Kohen Gadol, Kishu Korei. The Lama Pnei Shen Arashai. Ela Shai said, Derech Rechoka, Melech Shnei and Shavakachas. It's impossible. The 2 things happen simultaneously. The Kohen Gadol was reading the Torah in the Beis HaMikdash, and outside the Machna, outside Yerushalayim, they were burning the Parvas sword. You had a choice which one you wanted to see. But you can't see both of them, not because it's halacha you can't see both of them, but because they're happening simultaneously. And therefore, you had a choice. Either you can see one or the other. So what is the Mishnah saying? What is the Mishnah saying? What is the point of this? But it's no halacha that you can't go from one to the other. But the point is that technically you can't see both of them. Either you had a choice. Maybe one year you want to see the Kohen Gadol reading, another year you want to see the Parvas Aaron Shrafim. You can do one of the 2, but you can't do both because they happen simultaneously. So this is the end of today's daf. Just to summarize what we spoke about, the issue was that the Kohen Gadol takes out the murim of the fire and the sword, and he puts it into a bowl. Later on, it's going to be maktiv, not right now. Then they intertwined the fire and the sword and carried it out to the base of Sreifa. And machlokas when they become tummy, either when you leave the base of Mikdash, or when the fire catches on. Machlokas on the comment of Shimon. The Gemara brings the drasha that when you cut it up, you take it out whole, but when you cut it up into pieces without taking off the skin. And the Gemara learns out from Parakon Mashiach, the drasha to learn out from the Korban Ola and the Parakon Mashiach, Parko and the Ola was Hefshet Nituach, but the Parko and Mashiach and all the others are just cut up without taking off the skin. After that, the Gemara says that where's the source to say that you become Tameh as soon as you go out of the Azara? Because there are three psukim. One is by Parko and Mashiach, Parko and Dover and Deshan, that all three of them, it says Chosla Machaneh. We learn out that all of them are together and three machanos for all of them. And Yom Kippur also is going to be three machanos. So why does it say one machaneh? To tell you that you become tamei as soon as you go out of one machaneh. And that's Tanakam. Rav Shimon doesn't hold to that. He says that you become tamei only when you burn it. So what is the one machaneh about? He says to make a gzer shava between this and the paraduma, and there's a two-directional gzer shava to tell you that the paraduma is done out of shalosh machanos, not only out of one machaneh, out of the Yerushalayim, and the other direction is to tell you that's done on the east. Which side of Yerushalayim? On the east. And the other drasha, other Mandama says no, it was not done on the east, it was done on the north, like any korban chatas. After that, there's machlokes if that's to actually be deshen over there. It's also makom shafach hadeshen. Does that actually have to be deshen over there? Machlokes. Maybe Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov doesn't hold it. Maybe he does. Also, another point is that it should be on a slope. It should be the place of the deshen should be on a slope. Comes out machlokes if this place was in the north or in the east. After that, the Gemara says the ones who burn it are only actually burning it. Either maybe the people who bring it also to the burning, but not the people who are just preparing the fire with the logs. That they don't become tamei. Till when does it become tamei? Either till it's burnt or until it's ashes. And then the next point of the Kohen Gadol is going to be to read the Torah, but it can't do that until the goat came to the midbar, not to the cliff, but to the midbar at least, which is 3 mil away. And how do they know that it came to the midbar? Either they had flagmen or they would wait after the Yekiri Yerushalayim came back. They would wait 1 more mil, and they'd have a total of 3 mil. Or in the olden days when they had the red string on the Heichal, they'd be able to on the Ulam. They'd be able to see if it turned white, and then they know that it came to the if it did turn white, then they know that it came to the midbar. Even though you're supposed to throw it off the cliff, but once it got to the midbar, you did enough of the mitzvah that it should turn white, and that might have been a sin. And even if it didn't turn white, the simon of when they came back, or the flagman, whatever it is, once they came to the midbar, you did enough of the mitzvah that you could continue doing the next avodah. The next avodah is to read the Torah. It might not be an avodah, it's called a tzarech avodah. Maybe we'll see later on if it's called an avodah or not. And he has a choice of wearing his own clothing, or he could still remain in the B'nai Lavan. They bring a Sefer Torah and they hand it Hazan HaKnesses, Rosh HaKnesses, Skan to the Kohen Gadol, and then he reads 2 parshas inside, Achimos and Emor, and then he announces that there's more written in the Torah, but he's going to say the rest of Peh, and he reads the Musaf in Parshas Pinchas. Afterwards, he says the 8 brachos, and the last thing the Mishnah says is that the burning of the 5 Asar outside the Machne and the reading of the Kohen Gadol is done simultaneously. You can't see both because of technical reason, but Allah would be able to. If it wouldn't be any problem, you would be able to leave one to see the other. Yes, please.
The thing that bothered me is Meforish Gemara on Samek Zion Amid Aleph. It first says Hiskino Shiyu Kashurino So Chatzi Beselav Chatzi Ben Karnav, and Amar Rav Nachman Bar Papa Mishum Rabbi Elazar Kafar Birishona Hayu Kashurin Lashon Shal Zohar Al Pesach Ulam Midifnim Bekevan Shigia Seir Lamidbar Hayam Albin Biyado Shigian Lamidbar Shinasis Mitzvah. So it's a Meforish Gemara that it was a Takanis Chazal, and that's what changed the Metzias, that it would only turn color after it went down the hill, or so it seems. Yeah.
Not when it downhill, when it was tied to the head of the goat, as Rashi says.
Okay.
Once it was tied to the head of the goat, you had a mitzvah to do it. If it didn't turn white until you finish doing your mitzvah.
The Mikdash David that I mentioned yesterday, it is true that Nov and Givon is, thank you for being Mizakami to go back there and get it. It is true that Nov and Givon is the Raya. And what's the Raya? The Raya is that the Sir HaMishtaleach is completely independent from the Sir Hashem. Why from Nov and Givon? Because although in the base of Mikdash Sheni, there wasn't an Aron and there was a Makamar, but there wasn't an Aron, they did do Avodas Panim. Whereas in Nov and Givon, they didn't do Avodas Panim because it was nothing but a Mizbeach, and they just didn't do it. So from Nov and Givon, the Mikdash David draws a raya that they're completely independent, because we see from this Gemara by listing Nov and Givon that there was a chiyuv of Shir Mistaleach even when there wasn't and couldn't have been a Sir LaHashem.
But you're not explaining how you know that they did it. It could be that's true, but you're not proving how you know that they didn't do the Sar LaHashem in Nov and Givon. There was a Mizbeach, there was a Mishkan. How do you know that they didn't do the Sar LaHashem over there?
Yeah, the Mikdash David says an Indian of Avodas Panim. There couldn't have been Avodas Panim.
But you're not saying why not? Why not? Why couldn't there be a vodas for him? Why not? It was a Mizbeach, there was a Mishkan, why not?
I'll have to explore it and bring you the actual lashon of the Mikdash David.
Okay, thank you. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Kol
Thank you,
tov.
everybody. Have a good Shabbos. Looking forward to Motzei Shabbos 9:15. Thank you. Kol tov.